Hi friends, my name is Alex and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you have been here before. I am so happy that you are joining me for this super exciting video today. So a couple of days ago, I finished reading Kingdom of Ash, and I bet you're wondering, well then how is this a reading vlog? I'm filming this intro after the fact because I wanted to sit down at the beginning and give you my spoiler-free thoughts on Kingdom of Ash as well as the entirety of the Throne of Glass series, so that if you have not read the books, you can watch this first part of the video before we get into the very spoilery vlog clips that I will share with you of all of my reactions throughout reading the book. So if you are only interested in spoilers, there will be a timestamp down below in the description that you can jump to for the spoilery vlog, and if you want this non-spoilery chat, then hang out with me for the next couple of minutes while I tell you my thoughts and feelings, my personal opinions about the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas, which I have just finished reading for the very first time. All 8 books, including Assassin's Blade. I have finished all of them and I enjoyed them. They are not my absolute favorite, and I know I'm like crushing people's spirits right now probably because I know Throne of Glass is so beloved. I really enjoyed them. However, there were some things that I personally didn't vibe with. This is not my first SJM series. I have read the ACOTAR series up through Frost and Starlight. I have not read Silver Flames yet, and I like Throne of Glass way more. The adventure story is so good in Throne of Glass. If you love like a crazy epic fantasy adventure, you should read these books. They are super fun. Now, one of my gripes with the series is that it starts out YA, and by the end, I do not feel that it is YA any longer. Makes it a little difficult to recommend as a YA series. However, it's also kind of difficult to recommend as an adult series because the first 2 books read super YA. So you have to like push past that stuff and be like, okay, these 3 books are gonna read super different than the rest of the series, genre-wise, but also plot-wise. But the rest of the series is super good. And like the other, 5 books are fantastic. They're not perfect, but they are great. And I super highly recommend them, but you have to be willing to commit to Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and then at some point, you should read Assassin's Blade. I'm not super knowledgeable on SJM, so definitely look to somebody who knows more to decide your reading order. I did read them in the Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, then Assassin's Blade, Queen of Shadows, then I tandem read Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, which I do highly recommend. And what I did was I read Empire of Storms as a physical book and Tower of Dawn as an audio book. I really liked that. Then I ended with Kingdom of Ash, which I have just finished. So while I really enjoyed the series, while I had a super fun time, especially book 3 to Kingdom of Ash, those were wonderful. I do feel that there were just some things that made it not a forever favorite for me. And one of those being that particularly Empire of Storms really heavily reminded me of other books that I have already read that were published prior to these books. And there were some lines that I felt were almost directly out of other stories. This was to an extent that made it really difficult for me personally to enjoy what was going on in those scenes and chapters that I was feeling that way. Particularly towards the end of Empire of Storms, which is such a bummer because I loved the middle of that book. So again, no spoilers. I'm not telling you what those things were. I want you to read it for yourself if you're interested. And form your own opinions. I know there are lots of opinions out there on SJM, positive and negative. I still thoroughly enjoyed the adventure, the plot. I enjoyed the characters. It is a super fun time. And if you are willing to commit, then I say go for it. I say this is a great series to read and I do recommend it. I got super emotionally attached to the characters. I was super invested in their success and their storylines, their romances, everything going on in this book. Like, it will suck you in and you will get super invested. For me personally, there were just some things that made it not my absolute favorite, as well as some issues with the writing, particularly in Kingdom of Ash. I felt that there were some times where the writing was super unclear. Like, I had to go back and reread things a couple of times to be like, wait, who did what? Who said that? There were some times where like the subject of the sentence was not in the sentence, and so I could not actually figure out what she was trying to say in a couple of points, particularly in Kingdom of Ash, which just made me frustrated because I was like, I'm going back and rereading things and I'm like still not totally sure who's doing what or what just happened, and it's fine. It's not like huge major things to the plot, but it just slowed down my reading experience because I was going back to try and understand and I just couldn't. There just were things that were not super clear and frustrated me as a reader. Plot-wise, adventure-wise, I highly, highly, highly recommend the Throne of Glass series. I actually want to go back and reread the first book now that I'm totally done, because I feel like reading the very first one again, I'm gonna notice a lot of things that I obviously didn't notice reading the first book for the first time. I am going to get into my spoiler-filled vlog next. Here is the 3 weeks it took me to read Kingdom of Ash, my experiences and reactions, and I will catch you again like this at the end for my final spoilery thoughts on Kingdom of Ash. So thanks for hanging out. If you have not read the Throne of Glass series and do not want to be spoiled on the entire last book, I recommend hopping out now and coming back after you've read them if you want to hear my thoughts and go through this journey with me. Last night, I finished reading Empire of Storms. I finished listening to Tower of Dawn today, and it is time to begin Kingdom of Ash. Now, I have a lot of feelings coming off of Empire of Storms. I absolutely adored Queen of Shadows. It has been my favorite book in the series so far. I just loved it so much. And so I had really high expectations going into Empire of Storms. It's going to be like my new favorite. I'm gonna like this one even more. And for a lot of the book, that was totally true. Like the middle of Empire of Storms is like peak Throne of Glass series so far for me. It's just so many amazing things, so many amazing scenes happened, and I just like adored them. However, the ending of Empire of Storms did not do it for me. Please don't come at me. I'm still really loving this series. I still rated the book 4 stars, I think. But there were just some things about the ending that were a little too similar to some other books that I have read. I think part of that comes from having read the ACOTAR series first. There were some similarities to A Court of Mist and Fury. There were some things that were really, really similar to Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And just right at the ending of this book, which really just pulled me out of what was happening. So I was bummed. Also, I didn't feel like it was the cliffhanger I was promised. Am I crazy? I just feel like, from what I know of Sarah, she doesn't hurt me too much. Like, she doesn't kill off characters very much, which I know Kingdom of Ash is probably gonna be different. I have heard things, and I was hoping for like this epic ending, like during a battle where like you didn't know until you started Kingdom of Ash who made it and who didn't. That's what I was expecting when everyone told me it ends on such a big cliffhanger. And obviously that's not how it ends. If you've read the book, you know that's not how it ends. And my prediction from what I know of Sarah's writing is that we're gonna get Aelin back in like the first 50 to 100 pages of Kingdom of Ash. So these are done. I finished them, and now it is time to get started with Kingdom of Ash. So as I go through this, I will check in with you. I will keep you updated. Okay friends, it has been a minute since I filmed that first clip, but I'm only about a quarter of the way through right now, and I've been reading it for like over a week. But I'm about to change into some comfy clothes. I have my cup of tea. It is Sunday afternoon, and I am really hoping to just snuggle up with this guy for hopefully a couple of hours this evening. It is picking up a lot faster than the last couple of books in this series did. I noticed in the last couple of books that it wasn't until around 50% of the way through that I really felt like it was starting to pick up, and this one I felt like 100 pages in of 1,000, which we'll talk about that in a moment, but 100 pages in, so like 10% of the way in, it really started to pick up. So that gets me excited. However, I feel like when Aelion's chapters come up is when I'm like, I don't need to read anymore, I'll take a break. So that is the one thing about like multi-POV is like definitely there are some POVs that I care about more than others, and give me some Dorian, give me some Rowan, Aelin, let's get to it. Manon, obviously. So that's where we're at right now. The other thing I was gonna talk about was that when I first started reading this book, the first thing I started to notice was like, hey, these pages, they feel a little different than the pages in Empire of Storms. This book is the same thickness as Empire of Storms, but the pages are thinner. So I thought this was a 700-page book, and it's 1,000 pages, you guys. Aelin just escaped, and I think they're going to be able to heal Fenris, but Fenris, I don't know how to say it, but if he is not okay, I am not gonna be okay. Wow. That was really stressful. And he's just so sweet, and I really love him. Welcome to the court, pup. Are you kidding me? Oh, my heart. First tears of Kingdom of Ash. Fenris taking the blood oath to Aelin. Hi, I am checking in again. I have been hi doggy. Here's my dog. I have been an absolutely terrible vlogger slash reader with Kingdom of Ash so far, so apologies for that, and apologies if you can hear my dishwasher running right now, but I'm settling in to do some reading today, and I wanted to give you a quick update. I am just about to start part 2, so I'm a little over halfway through, and I've been reading this book for way too long. I think it's been over 2 weeks now. Oh, my dog is drinking water. So getting started on part 2 and thoughts so far, I absolutely freaking loved Aelin using her powers that she'd stored up to save Anil from the water, from the dam. I kind of saw that coming. Like, I knew that the dam, something was gonna happen because they kept mentioning it. I knew that was gonna break and there was gonna be an issue, and I figured that Aelin's power was like the only thing that was gonna be able to stop that, like fire against water. It makes sense. So I was expecting it, but I still loved the way it happened. The like Elide and Lorcan aspect of that, with like racing back on the horse on Farasha to get to the keep. Like, all of that was just very intense. And the steam I did not think about when I was kind of predicting what was gonna happen. The steam was not something that was in my mind. So I really enjoyed that aspect, and the way that Rowan got to play a part in that. Super cool scene. So where I just ended, they are all just now leaving Anil and headed to Terrasen. And You guys, I only have 400 pages left, and Aelin has been to Terrasen one time so far in the series for like 3 chapters, and it was terrible. And everyone talks about like how much they love Terrasen. I'm like, I want to love Terrasen, but like I haven't even seen Aelin there. Obviously we have Aedion and Lysandra in Terrasen, but those are like my least favorite chapters right now. So I'm just going, okay, I'm ready for some Terrasen. I'm ready for those vibes. I have heard, I mean, I know now reading it, people compare it to the Pacific Northwest, and I am from the Pacific Northwest, so love those vibes, and I want to like experience that more. And yeah, I'm super bummed that we're not gonna get a ton of Aelin in her home in Terrasen. So I'm excited to finally see her get there. I'm excited for what is to come. And Manon is gathering all the witches to go to Terrasen, so excited for that meetup to happen again. I love when Manon and Aelin are in the same place, so really excited to see that. And I am just gonna settle in here, get cozy, do a little reading. Obviously, I'm already cozy. So do a little bit more reading, and I will check in with you guys as I go. And again, apologies for not doing a ton of check-ins, but I'm guessing I will have a lot more thoughts and things to say in the latter half of this book. So let's go read part 2. Oh my gosh, you guys. So literally 1 chapter later, after I just checked in with you, I read the first chapter of part 2, which is Dorian at Morath, and he's like stalking Erewhon, and he's hiding in Erewhon's tower, and Maeve shows up to meet with him. And I don't know if Erewhon knows who Maeve is. He's not supposed to, so oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. That was a good chapter. I don't know if you can see my face at the end of that time lapse, but that was a good chapter. So many things to figure out. Okay, part 2 is way better than part 1, and Dorian just overheard Maeve finally tell Erewhon who she was, and all that went down. And then she was leaving, and she knew he was there, and she's like trapping him, and I'm so nervous, and oh my gosh. So this is getting super good. I'm super excited to keep reading it tonight, but I think I am going to take a pause, go for a quick run, and my husband is making my favorite dinner, and then hopefully tonight I can read a good chunk of this. I've said that a couple times before, so hopefully this time it's actually true and I will get through more of this book. But yeah, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous for Dorian. So if you've made it this far into the vlog, I guess that makes us friends. Thanks for hanging out this long. So tonight you get post-run, post-shower, hair drying Alex. Here we are. This is what we've got tonight. We are cozy. We are ready to settle in and read the last 125 pages of Kingdom of Ash, but I wanted to tell you a funny story. On this route that I was running today, I passed 3 little free libraries, and there's one pretty close to my house that I had seen a book in yesterday, and I thought about grabbing it. I wasn't sure if I really wanted it. And then last night, reading Kingdom of Ash, I got to the scene the SJM multiverse scene. That is all we will say to avoid spoilers for any other series, but that re-sparked my interest in reading this book. After reading that scene in Kingdom of Ash, I decided to go back to the little free library and see if Silver Flames was still there, and it was. So we have Silver Flames. We will read this at some point, but if you know, you know. Also, that means that last night I read some pretty intense parts of Kingdom of Ash and didn't check in with you. So let's go over that really quickly before I start reading for the evening. Sobbed my eyes out for the 13. Even though I knew, like, because I'm reading this so late in the game, that was kind of one spoiler that I had a pretty good idea what was coming. I had heard some vague spoilers, and then with the foreshadowing in the book, I could, you know, kind of piece it together, what was going to happen to them, and still absolutely destroyed me. Asterin with her branded words and the fact that when they did the yielding, that theirs was light instead of darkness, like the other witches. It was really beautiful. It was really crushing and sad. And oh my gosh, the flowers in the battlefield growing out of the blood, like, oh my gosh. Ooh. I also read the like word gate closing scene, which, you know, because there were still 200 something pages left of the book, I wasn't very stressed because I figured she's got to get out of it somehow. I did like the involvement of Dorian's father. I don't know how I read 8 books and didn't realize that his father didn't have a name. Bummed that she tried to trade Elena for Erewhon, because who cares about Elena anyways? She's the worst. So that was super dumb and it didn't even work. So yeah, I hated that. That was stupid. So Aelin arrived in Orinth, and where I just ended, Gabriel just died, which is super sad. I wanted more from him and Aedion together, so I'm really bummed about that. And not as sad as the 13. No tears were shed for Gabriel, but it was sad. So Aelin rode in on the Lord of the North. I had this theory, which I thought was a really great theory, that I sent to my friends in my group chat about this, about my reactions to this book, and I was convinced that when Dorian took down Morath and he left Maeve there and he removed her powers from her to like jump between places, I was convinced that he like took that power and could learn it like he learned shapeshifting, and that he would be able to use that once he found Aelin to transport the army, that he would be able to open up some sort of portal and that they would be able to get to Orinth that way faster. The like forest people and the Lord of the North was like, the Lord of the North part was good, but I didn't love the like little folk because that already happened in this book. I was like, I kind of like my way better. Yeah, so I've got 125 pages to go. We are getting cozy and I am gonna finish this book tonight. I'm determined. We are finally gonna be done with it. I will maybe check in with you more tonight, or maybe just give you my thoughts once I am totally done. We'll see. Hello, I'm back. You've seen me before if you watched the beginning of this video. So I finished Kingdom of Ash, technically I guess yesterday at like 12:30 in the morning, but I have had some time to think. I have had some time to chat with my dear friends, Leah and Nicole, who have been in a group chat with me on Instagram, hearing my reactions and chatting things out with me. They are both huge Kingdom of Ash fans, so I'm sure I have broken their hearts with some of the things that I have said, and I apologize. I love you both dearly, and thank you for your kindness towards me, even though I did not adore this series quite as much as you did. I do really enjoy it. I hope that I'm not like coming across as someone who like hated this series, because I did really enjoy it. But I feel like the things that are like enjoyable about it to people who've read it are super obvious. So I don't talk about those as much. It's more the things that like bug me that are easier to talk about and like make more sense to call out and be like, excuse me, why? So don't get me wrong, I did really enjoy this. However, I do want to call out the things that I didn't enjoy about it, because we're being honest here, and that's what I'm here to do. So let's see, the last time I like sat and chatted with you, I told you about my feelings and reactions to the 13. I'm still devastated. I will forever be devastated about the 13, especially Asterin. Will I name a child after her? Who knows? Possibly. Like, if anything, Asterin and Fenris, those are the two things that like gutted me to the core in this last book and really destroyed me. One of my favorite moments from the series is still in Empire of Storms, when everyone comes together, Elid, Aelin, Manon, that whole like reunion scene is probably my favorite moment from the series. I loved it so much, even though Empire of Storms is actually one of my like not as favorite books from the series. I was hoping for something kind of like that at the end of Kingdom of Ash. We got it a little bit with Chaol and Dorian, but I just wasn't as invested in their friendship because of Chaol. And I think honestly, that's maybe not even my own personal opinion. That might be influenced by things I've heard other people say, but I just wasn't personally as invested in that moment, so it didn't impact nearly as much as the Elid, Aelin, Manon, all that jazz. It just wasn't the same for me, so I didn't feel I had a moment quite like that. However, what I did get from the end of Kingdom of Ash were so many laughs, which I was not expecting. But when they are on the balcony where Yrene killed Erewhon, talking about putting a rug over the stain, because that's where Aelin's going to lay out and sun herself and she doesn't want to see the stain on the ground, I was cackling. And then when the cadre and when the court comes and joins them and they make the joke again and the men are like, and the women are like joining in on the joke. Oh my gosh, so funny, so good. Like, that was the relief that we needed after the intensity of almost 300 pages of straight battle, which I do feel could have been shorter. I'm sorry. I feel this book could have been shorter. But after 300 pages of battle, to have this like moment where I am cackling about a rug to cover this stain from this demon king who, it killed me. It was so good. SJM, yes. I needed that moment. I didn't know I needed that moment. And the King's Flame at the very end was beautiful. I did enjoy that ending. Just after I had finished 300 pages of battle and seeing that there were still 50 pages left of the book, I was like, really? What else is supposed to happen? And yes, we tied everything up. We got our happy endings. I was a little bit frustrated that, please don't kill me. I was frustrated that more people didn't die in the battle. These are a bunch of teenagers fighting in a war against demons. And I get that some of them are like super skilled, super magical, whatever. But these are a bunch of kids fighting in a war against demons from another world. And the only person who dies after the 13 is Gabrielle, an immortal warrior who has been fighting battles for hundreds of years. And yes, he sacrificed himself. It's not like he just died of like carelessness. But like for that to be the one person we lose is like a warrior, Fae warrior who obviously knows what the heck he's doing, and none of the teenagers. I was just a little like, this is a little unrealistic to me. However, Leah, my sweet friend, did remind me that this is YA series. And thinking about that, I realized, okay, yes, we don't want quite the devastation that maybe an adult fantasy would give us in a YA series. So I can forgive it that I didn't feel as much emotional connection to the end of this book after the 13 because nothing else happened that really got me emotionally, except Kael and Irene saying goodbye to each other before Irene went to go, do the thing with Erewhon. Their goodbye when they weren't sure if they were going to see each other again. That got me. That was emotional and very sweet. Something else I loved was Evangeline and her like role throughout the battle, her bond that she formed with Darrow, her bond with Aelin. We're not going to talk about Aelin. I mean, I hate what he did to Lysandra. Let's just put that out there. That was terrible. But Evangeline, the moment when Darrow has called her Your Majesty and she looks at Evangeline and is like, I told her to win me my kingdom back. And I don't know how she did it, but she did. Beautiful, beautiful moment. That was so touching, so sweet. So we had a lot of like really special, sweet moments, especially with Evangeline, that I really loved at the end of this book. However, I think the reason that this one just didn't do it for me as much was because there was so much in between time between each like big thing that did happen. Plus, we all hate it. Maybe we don't all. A lot of people hate it when the main character has to lose her powers in order to do whatever at the end of a book. I don't like that trope. It's not my trope. And I wish Aelin didn't lose her powers. Like, I just don't like that. So between that trope and thank goodness we didn't have a resurrection trope because I can't with that trope. That is my actual least favorite trope. You're just getting Alex rants right now. I apologize. This all being said, Queen of Shadows remains my favorite book from this series. The moment in Empire of Storms remains my favorite moment in the series. And Kingdom of Ash just kind of falls somewhere in the middle. It was a good wrap up. It was a good ending. We got closure, I feel, to everything. I don't feel like I have any loose ends aside from, the multiverse stuff, which is a whole nother conversation. And I will, after I read Crescent City, I will dive down rabbit holes of people's theories on that, but I feel I need to read Crescent City first. So all this being said, I enjoyed the Throne of Glass series. I love the characters in this story. I feel very attached to quite a few of the characters from this story, and I had a super fun time just interacting with all of my friends who love this story, hanging out, talking with you guys about my thoughts as I read through Kingdom of Ash. I have really enjoyed this experience, and I will continue to read SJM books. I'm planning to read Crescent City next month, I am a little bit nervous because I am not here for the spicy, and I've heard that that one is the most spicy, so we'll see. I've also not read Silver Flames, and I told you in a previous clip that I now feel I need to read Silver Flames. I need to know what this multiverse of SJM is all about. So she's done what she set out to do. I am hooked. I am going to continue reading her books, and so far this is my favorite series of hers that I have read. If you have thoughts and feelings about Kingdom of Ash, please comment them. I want to chat with you. I want to talk about this series and hear your thoughts and feelings and discuss it with all of you in the comment section. So please, 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 please leave me a comment. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. I hope you aren't mad at me. I really do like the Throne of Glass series. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. I would love to hang out with you for some more content. I'm sure I will share my thoughts as I read Crescent City soon. So if you want to hang out with me and my chaotic self some more, please subscribe to my channel. I would love that. Comment and let me know who you are, and I hope you have an excellent, wonderful, beautiful day. Goodbye.